Answers of an Alien from Andromeda, Video 153, January, 2018. Hello friends. I've been in touch with CB a few times but we did not have time to talk about the issues you asked, sorry. CB also had a lot to do in that period and we could not coordinate better. Part of my fleet now allocated to Mars was selected to accompany a scientific expedition that participated in the terraforming of another planet in the system you call TRAPPIST-1. For the first time my team participated in such a venture, and allied with the Arcturians, Aldebarans and Camelopardalis we could feel the winds of a new atmosphere and the freshness of new oceans in their formation. When we returned a few days ago to Mars, we left there a planet already in the process of seeding the basic biological infrastructure that will move to balance and adjust its new, and now independent nature. The planet has undergone orbital change to a temperate zone, and now forests and insects are already integrating in the pollination of new plant species, conveniently selected by the Togs and Zigs. The process of terraforming planets, despite already being at a very advanced level of technology, stirs up the feelings of admiration and causes a great sense of well-being at every birth of a new small nest for new civilizations in this immense universe. Questions. Dear Mithy, do you have any idea about Nikola Tesla's 3, 6, 9 codes? Nikil, these numbers are not a code, they are intermediate numbers in geometric sequences that represent structural points on which other points can be referenced. They appear as a structural basis in various facets of matter, be it solid, fluid or transmitted waveforms. Quantum mechanics uses these points of structural support in practically all forms of synthesis of pure energy propagation between the various functions calculated for a particular purpose, both at the molecular level and at the level of planetary interaction, that is, from micro to macro. Mithy, I am curious about the special portal that maintains the balance of the necessary quantum flow of the system, for the maintenance of all physical and material life of the planet. Can you please give us more info on the subject and anything that we need to know? Thanks a lot, Big Brother. Lawin, there is not really a quantum flow to maintain planetary balance or any portal specifically. There is in fact a quantum environment that provides the material needed for any kind of physical, biochemical or ethereal development for everything that exists in this third-dimensional universe. Nothing is wasted. Everything fits according to the required developmental need. Mithy, considering the latest launch from the North Korean government of a hydrogen bomb, the threat of thermonuclear war is real. Didn't you say previously that nuclear arms have been disabled? Did anything change? Karen, there are no changes in what has already been decided. There will be no atomic missiles traveling in your atmosphere because modern Pleiadians probes are constantly patrolling to avoid this type of weapon. Mithy, what was the exact cause of the great global flood that happened about 13,000 years ago? JB, about 13,112 years ago a great solar maximum happened and the crew lines were not yet monitoring the system because there was no coverage of any regional CG at that time. The planet was bombarded with tremendous waves of energy that caused great evaporation of water covering the entire planet with heavy clouds. The result was large floods on all continents almost simultaneously. Mithy, I wonder what happens when a planet grows to its maximum potential, and the core cools and solidifies, or belches the contents out on the surface. Would the plates and tectonic activity cease? Gravity would be the same because mass doesn't change. But what about the magnetic field? Jeffrey, the Earth has two nuclei, the outer, viscous, and the inner, solid. The outer core is a mass of nickel and molten iron that moves at a temperature of about 5,000 degrees Celsius. The shuttle causes the tectonic plates to move, allowing volcanic activity. It is from the bottom that comes the magma and causing earthquakes and tsunamis. The inner core also generates the Earth's magnetic field. This happens because the two Earth cores move at different speeds, causing an electric current and therefore the magnetic field. The magnetic field protects us from solar radiation, among other functions, such as helping to maintain Earth's orbit. When the core cools in the next 1.8 billion years, the liquid will solidify. The first consequence is the end of the volcanic activity, which will end with the replacement of Earth on the surface. Over time, the wind and rain will erode the mountains and, gradually, all this material will stop at the bottom of the sea. The deposited sediments will plan the surface of the entire planet and the water will take care of everything. Mithy, I would like to learn the truth about the Chernobyl event on April 26, 1986. Eyewitnesses reported that during the explosion of 4 reactors, a flying object in the form of a glowing round ball hovered and 2 beams flashed from it, directed to the reactor of the 4th block. All this lasted about 3 minutes. The searchlights suddenly went out and the balloon moved slowly to the northwest, towards Belarusia. Can you say anything about it? They say that this woman was found in Reactor 4 and after being transported to the hospital, she disappeared. German, when Chernobyl underwent nuclear meltdown due to operational failure, units were sent in for emergency observation and should have been instructed to try to minimize the effects by avoiding a major syndrome. This unit referred to could not be human, but a verification android sent to collect as much detail directly on the spot about the problem. It must have been subjected to a great deal of radiation, and was rendered inoperative, but if it was taken to some military facility it had little value, since these units self-destruct when there is any attempt at extraneous intrusion into their systems. From the photos you submitted is undoubtedly a Pleiadian android. Mithy, what can you elaborate in the concept of soulmates? Abraham and Kat, soulmates is a subjective concept. During developmental periods, the more beings develop males and females the greater the need for a healthy partnership that provides a complementation between the pairs that coexist together. When there is a lot of genome affinity, feelings and commitment, people often label this fellowship of soulmates. If this union really lasts, the two can try to walk together during development, combining and articulating new encounters in other future incarnations. It is estimated that 4% of the well-performing pairs, in the known universe, were able to maintain this feat for the next incarnations. Mithy, visitors have recorded service craft entering what appears to be sometimes cloaked a hangar door opening on top of Mt. Adams Chetty Mountain 46 degrees 12'9 north, 121 degrees 29'25 west June 30, 2017. Can you enlighten us about it, as to what races, their purpose and how long it's been in operation? Thank you. Kelly, no entrance to facilities is registered at this location, so it should be a natural formation on the mountain rocks. Mithy, do you have access to any kind of information about Carlos Castaneda, an anthropologist who wrote many books about a shaman, and his point of view about the universe he intended to study? Some pretend his work was just fiction. Could you enlighten us on this matter? Many thanks to you and all the other teams working helping us. Alfaro, I have no specific information about this individual, but many have taken advantage of the knowledge left by ancient thinkers to compose stories that from a certain point have come to receive fantasies for their plausible complementation. Mithy, cylinders of the pharaoh are 2 mysterious cylindrical objects in the hands of some ancient Egyptian statues. What was their purpose? Also, a Russian researcher claims the energy and healing properties of these rods. Andrei Neves, various races presented leaders of developing civilizations with specific objects. The most common in those days were brain translators that made these leaders polyglot for any ethnicity or dialect. This was a great power at the time. The word meant more than signed papers. The formats varied widely and there are drawings of various types presented at different times. Mithy, are you or your colleagues aware of what appears to be a large antenna, standing on the ocean floor of what we call the Antarctic Ocean? Is it a remnant of a former technical civilization, or was it placed there by some of your space brethren as some form of monitoring or communication device, possibly associated with underwater bases in that part of the planet? Mike, this antenna presented is one of several that exist surrounding the Antarctic continent. They were installed thousands of years ago by the staff of Epsilon Boots, and to this day they relay information via the satellite you call Black Knight. These are analytical detectors of oceanic movement, tectonics, and active marine life. Mithy, many governments have been announcing that they will soon be going back to the moon. If you can answer, Will any of them be allowed to complete their space exploration of the moon this time around, and might this be the beginning of disclosure for all? Thank you. Tammy, see, as you may conjecture, the intentions of your governments in exploring the moon is a mere matter of mining existing alien technologies in great quantity there. The CG will not allow this to happen until Earth is included as an official member of the community. Your governments can announce what they wish, but it is only in these terms that another raid of some terrain will be released there. Mithy, during some meditations, some of us have been able to briefly open a perfectly vivid 3D window within our mind's eye. It seems as though this could have many beneficial uses. Can you help us to understand better the cerebral quantum 3D environment? Shiner, see, when you learn to fully relax from your physical body, you become more susceptible to performing such quick visualizations. It is as if you were in a dark place and a flash was fired from time to time so that for a brief moment you can visualize what is around. This kind of flash of cosmic energy acts in your mind instead of acting in your vision as ordinary light, and is detected by the quantum area of your brain directly. The higher the concentration power, the longer the duration these flashes will start to have. Dear Mithy, what is the deeper reason of being able to contact past souls? Why do some people have access and others not? Is it only for psychological reasons, or is it linked to protect the past souls from the living ones in order to help them on their way through third and fourth dimension? Is there some concept of what is allowed or not allowed for contacts with past souls, and if so, what? Andromeda, as I mentioned earlier, people can only achieve some kind of mental contact when the spirit in question is in a zone very close to the third dimension. If the spirit has enough concentration and feel the possibility of attuning, only there can be some kind of interaction. And as I have explained before, this is extremely rare. Usually what exists is the creation by the mind itself of the so-called receiver, of a second entity that would be received, and the mind itself metabolizes that interaction between the two factions of the same mind. Mithy, artificial intelligence AI is developing very fast these days, and is about to replace many jobs on this planet in next 10 to 20 years. At the same time, the global population increases rapidly, and if CG does not make official contact during this period of time, how should we manage this coming humanitarian crisis, where machines, in the hands of few, are doing all the work, while billions of people are jobless? Toter, consider this as follows. If robotic units go on to produce goods, it is to be expected that they will be sold to someone else. The races to the large centers looking for industrial jobs has had its time. Now there may be a new decentralization of this workforce out of the large centers, which in reality could provide more decentralized production of goods and food and a better quality of life for those who leave and those who stay in large industrial centers. These exodus are cyclical during the development of zero-level colonies, but as soon as they pass to the level 1, the problems of energy and basic infrastructure will be a common good to all, without exception. This year radical changes will be felt on the planet's major regions with regard to climate change, novelties in the solar system, accelerating planetary growth, and changes in global policy. We will be here to observe together, and check the measures that will be taken by the CG on a case-by-case basis. Much is being generated by your governments to maintain control of the masses, but much will be neutralized in time. Friends, I'm glad to be here now and to have become a citizen of our colony on Mars. We will see you soon, for you, throughout this new year of your religious reckoning.